You know, it's very difficult to really be honest, I think, considering what's going on in the world right now as a black person, because the news that is available for the rest of the world is really very rarely available to us. We live in a very sheltered world where we're not really able to watch mainstream TV because it really is full of white people. Even in African countries, most of the TV is dominated by Europe and America, either gangster rap for the black people or some sort of, which is essentially some part of pornography and violence and guns and money, and or the shopping channel, which is also corrupted by greedy, manipulative, psychopathic people that get a thrill out of creating excitement for virtually nothing, enticing you to spend money that you don't have. But that's just QVC. But later I'll go into more about the QVC audience, or even the presenters later on in this video. Really, I was kind of stirred to some level of action a few months ago when I started to see that life has a certain pattern, and a lot of things that happen to us in this life happen as a direct result of the manipulation of certain other people in the world that are given more power than other people. And very rarely is it really the powerful people that really control your life. More than not, it's the lower down, the sort of trickle down effect, where it's the people that really are your neighbors and the people that are closest to you that have the greatest effect. And those people tend to be the people that get away with things. Usually are people that have some level of mental instability. But I'm beginning to realize why they're given these powers. And that's just on the sort of French incident siege that has taken place, and the whole French, shooting that has taken place in the last few days. I was watching a video earlier this week on the McCanns, and of course, I gotta take a good look at the McCanns and the husband, and it's very clear that especially the video where he does with Paxman, and he talks about, and I will just try to see if it's possible for me to just sort of go into a little bit more detail. It probably won't allow me to, because I'm not online at the moment. Everything I do is online these days. It just seems like the only way we can get any information. But this goes into a lot of detail about the McCanns and the mother and the father, and mostly it goes into detail about the man running away with the body on the day that there was a frenzy of activity and people were rushing backwards and forwards. A group of people were coming back from a bar, and they overheard some commotion. Their attention was drawn to a man running down the street, and especially to the way this man was holding this young child, this 3-year-old child, as he ran towards the beach. And later, when the McCanns got off the plane back to Britain, a man said he watched the TV report of that and saw that the father, McCann, was holding the baby the exact way he remembered this man holding the baby, running towards in the direction of the beach. Also, there was another neighbor who saw that the boot of the car was open in their second home, and it had been open for some days, and it looked like they were trying to air something out, maybe the smell of a dead body, of a dead baby, a dead 3-year-old that they had kept hidden, while the police looked, but didn't look that well, and obviously certainly didn't look in any sort of second home for a body, and did not really dig by the beach. In fact, they did dig, but certainly not by the beach. And it's just very worrying, just the way he reacted, I think, in an interview when he put his head on his wife's shoulder, and I think that really was a telltale sign when he really understood that he had probably drugged his daughter. It was probably an accident that she died, and he did hide the body so that no one would see. And then his wife helped him dispose of the body or if she didn't, she certainly understood at some stage that it was as a result of their neglect that the baby had died, and even if it wasn't neglect, just it was an accident that led to the baby dying, and they did try to cover it up just so that they wouldn't have to deal with the loss, the death, not really the loss, of the death of the child that could have been prevented if they were there. And I mean, it happened, but just the fact that they'd covered it up, and I think Paxman in the interview talks about that he had created a sort of whirlwind. He had sort of created a sort of tornado effect where he created a kind of a hyper situation where everybody was sort of rushing backwards and forwards. You didn't know really what was going on. You didn't know who was saying what. People were panicked and scared. And in that moment, he was able to get away with this body. And I think this is what's really they're using to create all these hoaxes, and what they're using. I watched recently QVC, and this is what they use to sell products. And I hear them, the words that they use, they created a kind of stir, and the words that they use are the words that people have become sort of kind of in tune and sensitive, overly sensitive to, and they're using this to sell products. And in my mind and in my head, I know that this is really underhanded. And it's almost what would be the appropriate word for this? It's immoral. It's a disgusting practice to create an oversensitivity in the population and use it to sell products. It's not a moral thing to do. It's undermined. It's really a disreputable thing to do. I mean, how desperate are you for the cash? And just to sell blankets, and to sell bedding, and to sell toasters, and to sell DVDs. And I saw they were selling steaks the other day with Michael, and selling sausages, and it was just very, very strange. Like, these are words that we've all become sort of hyper tuned to, because it seems to be like this craze that the children are setting nationwide and worldwide. And here the McCanns have used it to hide this body, to bury their own child without people really realizing what's happening. The children are using it to create all kinds of fuss all over the world. And here comes QVC selling luggage sets. And now the French police have gone and used it to kill 14 people and blamed it all on black men and one black woman. So I've heard in the news today. So this is insane, and it's insanity. And here again, they have managed to create a panic situation where they've killed themselves. The French police have set up and killed 14 people, 4 innocent bystanders, and blamed it on terrorism that is linked to Al Qaeda, linked to Osama bin Laden, and a British man with one arm. And this is insane. It's crazy that this French people who are down and out and treated so badly and have no money and live in these slums are now terrorists with access to this serious military capacity that they get from Abu Hamza in Britain and Hussein bin Laden. I mean, wasn't he dead? Didn't they say they had killed bin Laden? So he came back alive and gave them these guns. I mean, how ridiculous that they're blaming our people and our men for a killing that they have orchestrated. It would be like the McCanns killing their own child and then find a black man and say a big black man came and killed him. I think they probably would have done that if they were in this country and under this sort of hysterics. They probably would have, because they could have, because that's what they're doing. They're creating these hoaxes to get away with their own crimes of murder in their hysteria and blaming it on people that it has nothing to do with. I think it's about time we stood up and took control and said, we're just not taking it anymore. And mostly, we're not going to prison and losing our families because of your hysterical madness. It's just not going to work. And it's not happening anyway. We just have to stand up. We have to stand out from the crowd. We just really have to stand out from the crowd and say that we're just not pansies sitting here taking it anymore, while you allow your mentally ill, mentally unstable people to run our communities and run our families into the ground. You're getting away with big murderous crimes, killing dozens and hundreds of people at a time, where it be war zones or in French cafes, and blaming it on black people. And it has, of all the people in the world, to be blamed for some terrorist attack, black, mostly meek, mostly mild, mostly quiet, mostly submissive, even in these days. Especially the men have become quite submissive. They're not really standing up anymore. Let's face it, even the kids can take advantage now. And here we are, our children are talking back to us. We have no discipline. We can't say anything to anyone. We're going slower than anybody else. We're the most unhappiest, and we're the ones being blamed for their madness. Caucasians have gone crazy, and black people are going to prison, and it's just not going to work out. We just have to stop this madness.